How's it going, everyone? The Trout91 here for 10 tips to improve your Black Ops 3 game. Tip number 1, pick your fights carefully. In this game, there is no perk such as toughness, which cause you not to flinch as much when you are shot, and there is a lot of recoil on the guns. Head glitches can be extremely tough to fight against, so make sure you time your fights carefully and you pick them wisely, because you can get destroyed if you come up against someone who is well covered. Positioning and timing is very key. The recoil and flinch are so big, which means you need to make sure you're getting up close and personal with the player if you aren't very confident in your shot, because you can really struggle at times when you're fighting over distance. Tip number 2, learn the spawn points. If you can learn the spawn points in this game, you can not only get yourself some easy kills, but you can certainly avoid yourself some unnecessary deaths. It helps you control the map and be aware a lot more of how the game is working and how it is panning out, and when to be able to push and when you need to be staying still. Tip number 3, choose your specialist wisely. Make sure you choose it to benefit your playstyle. If you're a person who likes to rush and get up into the objective, using something like the shot grip or the kinetic vest can really help you out. If you're someone who sticks back, picks people off, and more of a slayer, I would suggest using something like the War Machine or the Sparrow. Tip number 4, the Razorback is an extremely good SMG. In the beta, it was no doubt one of the best guns in the game. It's very good up close and very accurate at distance. It has easy to use iron sights and overall is just an incredibly good gun. That's not to say that the other guns can't compete with it, but this one was definitely one of the better ones. Tip number 5, choose your time to thrust wisely. Don't get caught in mid-slide or boost, as it's not like Advanced Warfare and it won't do much good for you. You can easily be put down and punished for being overzealous with your sliding and your thrusting, and make sure you're using your self-blast suppressors so you're not easily found when you do thrust. Another point is to hold it for a longer thrust. If you only press it for a little while, you will not thrust for a full length, and if you hold it down, the longer you hold it down, the further you'll thrust, which makes your jumps a lot more accurate and a lot more skillful. Tip number 6, don't sprint around corners. This is a fundamental tip that I've always given for Call of Duty players, and this game there is no doubt that it's going to be an important tip again, considering how much more limited you are in terms of your movement. If you're sprinting around corners, you're going to be caught out and you're not going to be ready for what could potentially be around there, especially if you've got no real idea. You'll find you'll die a lot less if you are walking around corners with your gun ready instead of sprinting around it, because it makes it much harder for you to get your gun up and aim down at sights ready to kill someone than it is if it's already aimed up before you turn a corner. Tip number 7, wall running is a hazard. It may look really cool, it may be very fun to do, but it is a hazard. It will probably get you killed more times than it will save you. Do be careful when using it. Make sure it's the appropriate time, and if you are going to use it, make sure you're ready for what's on the other side when you do eventually come off the wall. It can be very difficult to coordinate being able to shoot, aim, and run on the wall at the same time, so make sure you practice and are ready for it. Tip number 8, learn to strafe while shooting. There are attachments that are very important to be able to do this. With the submachine guns, not so important, but if you're someone who uses the assault rifles, putting stock on your assault rifle will mean you can strafe a lot easier and be harder for the opponent to hit. Tip number 9, learn movement mechanics for your body to be able to avoid dying. So things such as jump shotting or drop shotting, which are very, very simple to do. If you're in a mid-gunfight, jump shotting is simply jumping in the air whilst you're shooting, and it makes you a little bit more difficult to hit, and it also means that your body will be naturally in the air, so where the player is shooting at you will be a lower part of your body which has a lower damage multiplier, which means you'll take more bullets to die. If you drop shot, it makes you a lot more evasive and harder to shoot because there's less of your body to shoot at, and it means they need to adjust their aim and when someone has to adjust their aim, there's so many variables you need to take into account. So if you can make yourself as difficult to hit as possible, it is very, very beneficial for you. Tip number 10. Your teammates are good indicators to the enemy location. This works in two ways. When your teammates die, they'll obviously pop up with a skull or an X as to where they've died, which usually indicates that someone is by there or is within a decent range of being able to find them. It also means that their whole team is probably going to be around them, because of the way the spawns work in Call of Duty, it tends to be as a group. If your team is also collected on one side of the map, the way that the spawns work, especially in kill-dependent game modes, is that the enemy will spawn on the opposite side of the map. So you've always got a rough idea of where they're going to be coming from. I hope you've enjoyed the video, and if you did, do drop a like rating. It helps out a lot, and share this video with anyone you feel that could use with these tips to improve their game. I hope to see you soon. Peace out.